So guys, welcome back to F1 2017 Career Mode for another episode. We are here for the Singapore Grand Prix and we have our new rival Daniel Kvyat in the Toro Rosso. Of course, we need to beat him. He's now our new rival, so it's kind of... Are we going to battle with him as much as Hulkenberg, or are we just going to basically not see him and finish ahead of him constantly? But as mentioned in the last episode, we were thinking of getting a fifth engine component, and we're in fact doing a fifth unit in general. Quite simply, the turbocharger is not going to make it till the end of the season. I don't want to compromise anything else during that time. So if I'm going to take a turbocharger, I might as well take another engine as well as everything else. So for this race, we'll have a fresh engine, or a fresher engine, as we can say, to not use the really bad one, the third component, which is actually worn down quite significantly. Control electronics I've really had no problems with during the season at all, so that's not really a concern. But as we can see, we're just using the fourth component on most things. Turbocharger, the MGU-H, which we did end up upgrading before, but it seems that I think the temperature that we're getting up with, like with long straights like Baku and such, that's probably pushed the reliability out the window. But as we run down the grid here, we've actually got Ferrari on the front row, surprisingly. Magnussen out-qualified us. Well, we didn't even take part in qualifying, put it this way, but Perez gets a penalty to drop down to 17th, and obviously we're starting at the back. It was pretty much pointless doing quali, so we didn't bother in the end. Obviously, that's going to hurt our resource points, but, you know, what can you do? It's reliability, unfortunately, that's hit us. But it's going to be a possible two-stop, but there's going to be heavy rain at the end of the session, and there's going to be light rain towards the mid-part of the race. So this is kind of... I was in two minds whether or not to go on the super softs or the ultra softs, but I was going to pretty much go on the ultra soft, the fastest tyre. We need to be fast during the outset of this race. But here we go to 5 red lights for the Singapore Grand Prix. It's lights out, away we go from the back of the grid here. And we got a decent start on Marcus Ericsson there. And now we go to the inside of Pascal Wehrlein, going down into turn 1, just trying our best to avoid all of the contact. The apex actually quite came out of nowhere, so I had to kind of like dodge the apex and dodge everyone else. But we're up into P18, not much gained. Van Dorn gives us a squeeze to the barrier. We hit Alonso, no damage done though. Thank goodness. Van Dorn not giving us enough room. The hand of frustration goes up. We nip down the inside of Fernando Alonso. Quite frankly, we don't need a second invitation. In fact, we don't even need an invitation in the first place. But down the inside, as well as Sergio Perez, to go into P15. Right behind Lance Stroll, not for much longer, as we go down the inside of him. We're leaving him space. Around the outside, he aggressively pushes us into the wall. Now, come on, I haven't been that aggressive with the AI. I've probably been quite aggressive with Sainz at Monza, but, you know, that was just ridiculous. I don't push them into the wall, but as we go down the inside of Lance Stroll, we kind of cut the corner, so we have to give the position back, but in the process, we give the position to Perez also, so we nip down the inside of Perez here. And yeah, we're back pretty much in P15. Two McLarens going side by side. That's a sight we don't see at all, because we're pretty much further up the grid. Normally fighting for the points at this stage, but behind Stroll, trying to look to see if we can gain any time on him. And definitely in these braking zones, we will gain on him massively. And in fact, any other car we come up against will gain quite a lot in the brake zone. As I tried to look down the inside of there, but obviously there's a narrow section there, so I end up having to back out of it. End up cutting the corner there. Well, that lost me a load of time. And as we approach the end of lap 1, as you can see with heavy fuel there, I completely misjudged the grip and the weight of the car. The understeer was real there. And yeah, that's lost us a lot of time. Stroll, we pretty much gained most of that back into turn 1. Just about avoiding Perez to overtake us here. Daniel Kvyat is in P12, who's now our new rival. We have Palmer in P13, and we also have yellow flags. What could this be? And I think that's a Mercedes in the barriers. That is Valtteri Bottas, everyone. Has absolutely come a cropper. He has had some really bad luck, and is now kind of probably going to be last. And we nip down the inside of Stroll finally to get up into P13, and Palmer is directly ahead of us in the Renault. Shouldn't be too difficult to catch up to him. And it's proving quite the task, though, to try and catch up to the Renault. This is kind of like my weak part of the track, but we nip down the inside of Palmer right at this point here to P12. And Daniel Kvyat is just like taking too much of the exit road. Well, the outside of the track limits anyways, for some reason. And that's affected him quite a bit, because now he's going to fall victim to us. But that Toro Rosso is struggling to keep up with Massa, and I think it's going to struggle anyway. It's like the Toro Rosso is so much better than us as we nip down the inside of Kvyat there, give him the room, and we're pretty much up into P11. But the thing is that Toro Rosso, even though it's better performance-wise, as you can see right now, that it's not living up to that, which kind of suggests to me they probably have a better chassis and aero in general, but their engine's a Renault engine, so it's worse than ours. Just fantastic. But a little bit of a squabble there, going off the exit of that corner, but now we have a safety car. A safety car has been called out at the most crucial time in the race, and yeah, we are now in P11 behind Massa. This is what caused the incident before, when we saw Bottas in the barrier, so he's got a front left puncture. So that's what happened when we saw him at this point here. But then, of course, further on, he's just literally drove straight into the wall. Unbelievable scenes right now. Unbelievable. Bottas is gone from the race, as confirmed. But now the restart is going to get underway with Lewis Hamilton coming into the pit lane, the only Mercedes actually out on track. So is this going to be a disaster for Mercedes? Who knows, but we're going to try and go down the inside of Felipe Massa, and perhaps our teammate going side by side with the Dane right into turn 1, and we just about fend off Massa, who we just overtaken. And now we're on the back of our teammate, hopefully to try and perhaps find a way past him as Ocon and Hulkenberg going side by side. Jeez, man, that was close. That was close stuff right there. But as we nip to the, well, I was going to say to the inside, we ended up going to the outside, and now Magnussen's weaving around all over the place. We nip down the inside of him, and he kind of has a compromised run because of it. And yeah, we're up into P8 now, so we're fighting for the points quite early on in this race. But we get a bad run through there. That allows Hulkenberg to pull away ever so slightly from us. Of course, our engine is completely new, so we should have a good advantage here, because all these other cars are going to have, you know, engines that are quite old, and like parts of the engine are going to be wearing out, so they're going to perform a lot less than what they would. So this is kind of a good advantage for us here, as we're gaining pretty much on Hulkenberg here as we go down into this corner. A lovely shot there going down the inside of the German, our former rival, that is, up into P7. It's P5 where we stand after people have made their stops, I believe. Ocon is now ahead of us. As we try and nip down the inside, we locked up, and we absolutely outbraked ourselves. We didn't slow it down enough, but we're coming into the pit lane now for our pit stop, having overtaken, being overtaken by our teammate. And Vettel also came into the pit lane, so this was the pit stop for Ferrari. I think Williams are coming in, I think Renault are coming in, Toro Rosso are certainly coming in. We're on a set of super softs. And yeah, this is going to pretty much mix up the strategy, because now, lap 10, I was thinking if we go on to another set of ultra softs, we're not gonna really like gain any more time. We're just gonna perhaps fall behind a lot of people, because Hamilton is on the ultras, yet Sainz, well, I was going to say yet Sainz, like I think it was Hulkenberg, well, one of the cars at least, was on a super soft strategy. So I kind of wanted to do the long game with this strategy to perhaps kind of, you know, hold it out till the rain, instead of another ultra soft stint, because then I would put on the super soft, and then it'll be pretty much a waste of a tyre, and then also a waste of time. But as you can see, we're gaining on Sainz quite a lot here, but I don't think he's stopped yet. So he's on ultra softs, we're on fresh super softs, and absolutely make short work of him. Going down into turn 1, we're in P6. Yes, definitely these have not stopped, because Verline's in P5. So I think the safety car might have actually mixed things up quite a bit before. Of course, Hamilton did come into the pit lane on the restart after all, so he's going to be somewhere probably further up the field. I'm not too sure, it might be further down. But we're going to try and catch Verline here. Now, it's going to be a bit of a task because, like, we didn't seem to gain much at all. And, of course, these have the Ferrari engines too, so I'm guessing their straight line speed's pretty decent, so we might not catch up to them as much. And going through this section, definitely we're not catching up. I mean, our downforce and our chassis isn't much better than what the Saubers are. So, if we're going off the chart, we really are competing with Sauber as we nip down the inside of Verline there. For P5, Max Verstappen's in P4, we're going to try and catch him up now. Obviously going to have to save some fuel during the race. So we ended up saving a little bit here because we don't really need the rich mix or even the standard mix. But now there's a yellow flag. I have no idea who that was. Absolutely no idea. I just don't know. But then on lap 17, the rain hits. It's time for the intermediate conditions as DRS is now disabled. So this is kind of the window where you need to go onto the inters. But I'm not too sure. I mean, it is wet enough. All the other cars are coming in for their stops, but it's going to be a task to judge the conditions later on in the race when it's supposed to be heavy rain. Are we going to need those wet tyres or are we going to stick with the inters? Who knows? We really have to read the conditions, but in we go for our stop. We strap on the inters, and some other cars are electing to stay out. So this is going to be the kind of lap where we're going to judge whether or not the conditions are perfect for inters or the slicks still. And we're out in P5. We're ahead of Ocon at this point, and actually Van Dorn now nips ahead of him. But going on to lap 24, literally nothing happened. It was me driving around. We're strapping on the wet tyres, believe it or not, and I'm not too sure whether the wet tyres are going to be the tyre to go on till the end of the race. But we're going to have to see. For this point, I was struggling for grip, so I took a risk and came on the wet tyres. Renault are also thinking the same, and also Ocon is thinking the same as me. So it seems that the wets might be the tyre to go on for the rest of this race, but we'll have to wait and see how these perform. As Lewis Hamilton is in P4, we're going to have to chase him down. This is a task. Again, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to see also whether the conditions are right for wets, or is it going to be the inters that are going to edge it out. Well, lap 26, we've actually caught up to the back of Lewis Hamilton. Remember, he's in the Mercedes. He's literally in the fastest car in the entire grid. So to gain that much time on him, it suggests that the conditions are pretty much perfect for the wet tyres, and the inters are going to start falling away. As we nip past Hamilton there for P4, Magnussen is in P3. Where the heck did that come from? How's Magnussen in P3? I don't understand, but he's staying on the intermediates. We're going to chase him down the best we can. I'm pushing now to catch my teammate for that podium. And we've absolutely opened up a gap to Hamilton here. And the gap's absolutely extraordinary. To gain that much time on a Mercedes is unreal, but on lap 31, the final lap of the Grand Prix, we're unable to catch Magnussen. And now Hamilton is catching up to the back of us. So, is this literally going to be the moment? Is this going to be the moment where Kevin Magnussen is going to beat me? For pretty much, I think it's only the first time that he's beaten me. Is he going to literally finish ahead of me and get his first podium after like getting inconsistent points finishes? We'll have to wait and see. But it's literally Sebastian Vettel who wins the race, and as we go into the final corner, Hamilton has caught up to the back of us, and I cannot believe this, is that my teammate has finished ahead of me, and Magnussen, good old Kevin Magnussen, has got his first podium, his first major points finish for us. I just can barely believe this. Where did that come from, Magnussen? Where did it come from? Well, that was a Grand Prix and a half. Oh my god. I can't believe it. Magnussen's on the podium. And Verstappen finishes in second. That's absolutely baffled me. How can a driver with so many inconsistent points finishes finish ahead of someone like me, having loads of points finishes? It's just a 3-4, the best ever result for Haas. We're getting 27 points at the end of that for Haas. That's going to help us a lot. Hamilton finishes in 5th place. Esteban Ocon, who was on the wet tyre, actually finished another place behind Hamilton. But Raikkonen, Bottas, Palmer and Perez were the retirees of that Grand Prix. And I can barely say anything about that Grand Prix. That was just an absolute weird race for Magnussen, definitely. I won't let that go. But Verstappen, obviously, coming in second, he's jumped us by 3 points. So if we got that podium, we would have stayed ahead, but unfortunately not. But then Magnussen jumps up to 13th. He's only 2 points behind Hülkenberg. So what can I say? That was well done. And we're up to 4th now, so we've jumped 2 places after that. So, you know, when I said about the 6th place, I'm pretty sure I mentioned about not finishing higher than 5th, or maybe even 6th. Yes, right there. I'm kind of second guessing myself if Magnussen can do that. But, you know, 1,138 resource points at the end of that session, a clean up percentage of 96, absolutely dreadful for that. And bonus resource points for the first time ever. And gaining points on our rival as well, on Daniel Kvyat, with a lot of those going in our favour. Mercedes like us more, and in fact, Ferrari don't really like us as much. I don't know why Mercedes are liking us a bit more. It's a bit weird. But yeah, that was weird. That race was absolutely weird. Safety car must have changed it all. That's what helped Magnussen, I think. But we've got an additional bonus of 5% is added to the resource point bonus thing. And we're just a little fraction away from getting the next step in pit stop efficiency. So yeah, that was the Singapore Grand Prix. A debut for Magnussen on the podium. Absolutely speechless about that. Since I've been saying he's been a bit of a crap teammate, I'm kind of second guessing myself if he can do that. But yeah, Chris now actually has some stuff for us. And this should be our upgrade that we've just purchased. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see. What happens with this weight reduction upgrade? What will happen? I mean, how much of an advantage will we get at the next race? Which is in Malaysia, I believe. I hope I'm right. I think it is. Yes, it is Malaysia. I just remembered then. But yeah, looking at the performance chart, Sauber starting to gain on McLaren quite a bit, and we've just jumped ahead of Toro Rosso. So the order finally changes. I think we've had like 2 changes in the order, Ferrari getting ahead of Mercedes and then us getting ahead of Toro Rosso. That's just ridiculous at the end of season 1 how the orders changed. But that's going to be it for this episode, for the Singapore Grand Prix. An absolute mad race, finishing 4th though. A really good result for us, equaling the result of Austria earlier in the season. But if you enjoyed that, and in fact if you were speechless by the Magnussen podium, hit the like button, leave some comments what you think Magnussen can do in the next coming episodes, whether he's going to be better or whether he's going to be worse and going back to his old ways of not finishing in the points. But that's going to be it from me, just taking you through the R&D tree. And hopefully we're going to get some more upgrades, especially the weight redistribution and possibly tyre wear, which we're not going to focus on as much, to be quite honest, because that's kind of not really an issue at this point. But yeah, we're focusing on this tree here for the rest of the season. And then we're going to focus on this one, the aero, for next season, the early next season. So hopefully, if I get enough resource points by the end, I can get that save bonus, well, the like reduction in resource points kind of upgrade. But that's going to be it from me. I hope you have enjoyed, and I shall see you all next time.